Mike Callahan here with Callahan's Corner, where you ask the questions, we answer them live here on Facebook. So had a submitted question on one of the Facebook groups that we are in, and a gentleman or lady wanted to know, it's a lawn care example, but it really applies to any industry, is should they fire their existing client because they're not using all their services? So what happened is the gentleman pulled up to mow the lawn and a competitor was there mulching the grass. And the business owner wants to know, should they fire the client because they're not using them to mulch the grass as well as mow the lawn? So I'll be honest, at first knee-jerk reaction, I was like, that's kind of a crazy question. But the more and more I got to think about it, it's a pretty legit question, because what we're trying to do in most businesses is try to expand our service offerings to create a higher lifetime value. But where I'm going to kind of add some context to this is that I don't think you should fire the client. But the second question I want to ask this individual is, did the consumer actually know you provide the service, or did you ever even reach out to the consumer to provide the service themselves? So one of the things that we're all guilty as industry owners or business owners is we get so busy that we forget to actually tell our future consumer the services we actually offer. So one of the biggest things we're seeing right now in the springtime, especially a lot of people that we've been working with, are doing a systematic process of upselling. So they're going out through 3 to 4 different communications based on the timing of the year and upselling their services, such as mulch installation. And what we've seen with several of the people we're working with, they're getting 60 to 70, sometimes 80 estimate requests in the first 3 to 4 hours of going out and upselling. So I wouldn't fire the client. But is it possible they didn't know you offered that service, or were you not top of frame of mind because you forgot to go out and upsell the service based on the time of the year and the urgency? And I'd recommend a month to a month and a half before that mulching season happens. So as we're going into the winter or the summer season here, and we've got grub control coming up, are you proactively going out and upselling grub control or flea, ant, and tick to your clients that may not have it if you do pest control? So don't fire the customer. Take that into mind, is maybe you didn't communicate and you weren't clear enough with them that you offer that service, or it's the appropriate time to have that service done. Another great personal example is I just here at the personal residence had an estimate for a design build around my existing pool in the backyard. And it was interesting. So I went to the contractor. I know him well. I've worked with him several times. Great guy. But what Kyle did was really interesting. So he brought the blueprint with the pictures, and he showed us the design build for around the pool up next to the house, and in front of the house for little paver patio walkway coming in and redoing the landscape. But I had never actually thought about building a secondary structure with a bar and a fireplace, with an outdoor TV and a fire pit on the opposite side of the pool. So he had phase one, what I asked for, and he gave some different options to upsell and downsell, which was played perfectly. Kyle obviously is an industry veteran of 25, 30 years in the industry, and highly sought after nationally. But it was interesting. Kyle not only sold me and told me and quoted what I wanted from my request, but he had phase number 2, and it was interesting. And phase number 2 had a couple pictures of what that outdoor living area could look like with the bar and the basically the 4-pillared structure with the roof on it. And that, I believe, sold my wife before she even saw the design. So good for Kyle. We may not only be in for a hardscape design at the home for this year, but it's very likely that Kyle sold an additional equally as much, if not more, hardscaping for next year as phase 2. So if you're not telling your clients about phase 2 and you've only gotten in for the lawn mowing and the fertilizing, but you do additional landscape maintenance, don't fire your client. Maybe the solution is to go out and communicate and give property-specific pricing, just like Kyle did on the design build. So Kyle did a hell of a job, and he not only sold himself phase 1, but now he's also got another very large-sized job booked up for next year for phase 2 as well. So the idea is we want to go out and sell as many of the services we offer to our existing client base, but a lot of times they're not thinking about it. They're not top for him of mind. So we need to go out and educate and give property-specific estimates when it's appropriate before the need actually hits. So, and obviously with COVID, it may have been a friend or family member that may just needed some extra cash and they're doing it. And that's okay too, especially with these weird times we're living in right now. So the idea is go out, educate, and upsell, and don't fire your client because they didn't hire you for an additional service you have. And take a note out of Kyle's notebook for my design build estimate yesterday. Put phase 2 in there because the consumer may not even be thinking about the additional upsell and value that they could have. So until tomorrow, Callahan's Corner, you ask the questions, we answer them live right here on Facebook.